Does the name Cube World ring a bell? If yes, you probably remember some not so happy memories. If not, that's normal. The game basically vanished. Which is wild, because at the start, it had everything to be amazing. Back in 2011, a solo dev, Wolfram von Funk, aka Wally, started teasing a project that looked like the secret kit of Minecraft and Zelda. On July 2nd, 2013, the alpha dropped. Instant hit. The thousands rushed in, the servers melted. Then, right after the shop opened, the seed got DDoS. For players, it was just technical issues. For Wally, it was a shock. He later said it traumatized him and broke him. Not just a downtime, he felt attacked. That moment ended up being huge for the whole story. The concept? A 3D action RPG in a procedurally generated infinite open world. This game was seriously ahead of its time. You could climb almost anything, thanks to an endurance bar. Yeah, Breath of the Wild sent its rewards all the way back in 2013. You had all sorts of ways to get around. A glider, a boat, mounts, distinct classes, warrior, mage, ranger, and rogue. Each with their own specializations and playstyles. Me? I was mage. Attacked and healed at the same time. Yes, totally busted. No regrets. And of course, I picked a frog. I mean, I'm French. But most of all, it had the heart of a good RPG. A real progression system. Fight mobs. Grab loot. Level up, unlock skills. That lovely feeling of getting stronger. The twist was this: the further travel from your spawn, the tougher the enemies got, and the better the loot became. It really pushed you to take risk and say, I'm gonna go see what's behind that mountain over there. That wasn't perfect, but it felt like real adventure. Then, the honeymoon didn't last. After a few patches that summer, the games that promised everything suddenly ghosted us. Kinda like that one person on Tinder I was talking to. For a lot of people, the game had become vaporware, or just a scam. Out of nowhere, in September 2019, Wally announced that the final version of the game was coming out on Steam. He explained that he'd been struggling with anxiety and depression, that he cracked under the pressure and harassment he faced. Specifically, that infamous DDoS I mentioned earlier, the one that broke him. It was brave to share, and it helped people understand the silence. Players were surprised, but many felt for him. Hype cautiously returned. Then the game launched, and it was a letdown. A big one. So, what went wrong? A lot of things had changed from the alpha. First off, Gone was a classic system where you level up to become a demigod. When you spawn, you find a village, talk to an NPC, and they mark different points of interest on the map, graded by difficulty. The goal is to grab the loot inside those spots. Good gear lets you move on to the next spot, and so on. But the most hated change was the region log system. This was the ultimate dream killer. Your gear, your hours of grinding, become useless the moment you step into a new biome. Except for a few rare items. Imagine you spend 3 hours farming a legendary armor set. You cross into a new biome, and poof, you're basically naked, a total noob again. It's a constant reset. We went from an epic RPG journey where you become a hero, to a kind of roguelite. But without the satisfying parts of a roguelite, the core fantasy broke. Players want to explore, but the game forced you to regrind every single new zone, killing the feeling of freedom. For the community, after 6 years, many felt Cube World got worse. And the press wasn't kind either. Even I was super disappointed. Technically, it wasn't awful, but the game design was way off the mark and made the experience feel frustrating and unbalanced. We went from a classic effective gameplay loop to something innovative, but annoying. Cube World is a textbook case of solo development with bad communication. Wally shut himself away and ignores the very community that made the alpha a hit. The thing that was missing? Ongoing dialogue, like Hades or Baldur's Gate 3 had in early access. Both of those ended up Game of the Year. Coincidence? Probably not. But the story isn't over. After 4 years of silence following the Steam flop, Wally is back with a new project, Cube World Omega. New engine, new systems, new everything. It's supposed to be the true successor to the original Cube World Alpha. On paper, it looks pretty cool. We've already had 2 engine changes, a ton of time spent on tiny details, and communication that, let's say, random. Are we repeating the cycle? Here we go again. Let me know in the comments if you play the alpha or the Steam version. Do you think Wally can finally break this loop with Omega? Wait and see. What the hell? Another one?